Guys, I have some breaking news. The SEC and Ripple have both decided to settle and are now discussing how they would like to do so. Now, of course, I'm going to be showing you guys some very important things throughout the video, so make sure you guys go ahead, smash the like button, comment your thoughts down below, and hit that subscribe button, as well as I'm not a financial or legal advisor, and I really do apologize for the microphone, as this isn't the main one I use. And my previous one just broke down, so I gotta grab a new one. Nonetheless, let's get right into the breaking news. The crypto market has just hit a crazy crash. And as we spoke about it earlier in the previous videos, we did expect a crash, and the idea was that the lower the crash, the stronger the pump is gonna appear when the retracement comes through. And of course, we did mention this multiple times throughout my last video and the previous video before that, but guys, that is one thing. I think the good thing about it is that we're starting to get a consolidation phase at the support level of 38,650, which is kind of holding the crypto market stabilized. But now that we've talked about that, let's jump right into the breaking news. Now, dates are extremely important. At 5:24 p.m. on January 18, we seen this come out. It says, "Love of Wordle is universal / world hint. Wordle 213 4 out of 6. Watch for a spoiler." And then you see that right here. In addition, you see Gary Gensler and him and his tweet saying, "We just issued new rules at SEC government that give shareholders more say in who directs the companies they own." Now look at this right here. January 18, so on the same day, we see David Katz, also known as David Shorts, the CTO of Ripple, say, "Oh yes, I'm getting the hang of this. Same idea, Wordle 213 4 out of 6. So not only did they tweet this on the same day and use the same Wordle 213, but they also at the end also got 4 out of 6, so the same thing, identical. This really tells me a few things. Number one, I feel like at this point, they're starting to give hints. The idea is you don't want to release to the public that you've just pertained a settlement or that you've just retained one. You want to try and act neutral. If David Shorts does end up releasing it when they have not decided on a date, then it could destroy the entire settlement. This could also be connected to the idea of the Ripple lawyer that's supposed to defend Chris Larson, and of course she did quit. It could be connected. I did see some people saying that there's a chance she did quit because of a settlement. In this case, the person tweeted that could an alternate reason for leaving these settlement negotiations have already advanced far enough that she's just looking to capitalize on her situation. So this is actually something that caught my attention. It all happened in the span of one day. You see the Ripple lawyer quitting, David Shorts tweeting, and then the SEC tweeting the exact same thing. To me, this looks like a clear sign that they're starting to hint at a settlement is coming into place. Take into account that both the SEC and Ripple have agreed to offer a joint letter to extend this SEC lawsuit to last until February because they don't want the real courts to take into play. This all matches up. You have a few highly important aspects come together. There's a saying, if it looks like a duck, it talks like a duck, it walks like a duck, it's a duck. And I think this is the point we've gotten to. Everything is connecting. It looks like a settlement. The actions are the way somebody acts. If there is a settlement, they're hinting to a settlement. There is a settlement. Now, of course, this is not legal advice or financial advice, and so we can't really guarantee anything. There's always twists here and there. Things could change in a matter of seconds and hours and days. So there's nothing to guarantee. But what I can say is that everything is looking like a settlement. At this point, we've gotten to a point where, as much as I was denying and I never thought it could happen in terms of how fast it's happening, I believe we've gotten to a point that it's extremely possible and that it actually looks like it is going to be a settlement. Alright guys, now in terms of the charts, of course, I think we do have to look at that because XRP's price is 68 cents, so it is significantly down, honestly. Currently, it says 4%, but it's been significantly more than that. It's right now probably down to approximately 10 to 15%, somewhere in that range. But what I really like to do is always refer back to the charts and compare them to 2018's bull run and show you guys where we are getting our facts from and why we are saying it's not the end of the bull run. Alright, so the idea here is you have to really pay attention to what we're looking at right here. This is important. This is the spike that happened right before the real pump that pumped everything for the 2018 bull run. Now, of course, this was the fake pump, as people like to call it, including me. This is where everybody thought it was really going to pump to the sky, and it did do a decent pump, and then it just collapsed. And it stayed there for some time, and then it kind of did a little pump, and then it collapsed, it did a little dump, and then it recovered all the way back up. But if we look at it, it's kind of like an up, down, and I can, of course, make this bigger so that you get to see it, and there you go. So you had a big pump, right? Big pump all the way, then it crashed, then you had another pump, then it crashed, then you had another pump, and then it crashed, and then finally it had a pump, it did a dip, and then boom, it flew to the sky. And now my question to you guys is, look at this and tell me what's different. Tell me what's different. There is nothing different. You have the pump that we were talking about, then the crash, then the pump, then the crash, then the pump. This is not really a pump, honestly, but I'm going to consider it a tiny pump, then the crash. So we are seeing the same patterns follow the same process where you have a pump and a dump, a pump and a dump. And then this is part of kind of the same thing, but then we're going to see a pump, and then we're going to see another dump that occurs. Because the truth is, this and this are the same. It's just this is on a smaller scale and this is on a larger scale now. And we are still in that phase. We are still in that phase. We are honestly, if I were to give you the exact spot we are in, we are, let me just make this a bit bigger so that you guys get a clear view. We are right here. Just quickly delete that. But we are right here in this phase. Right here. This is where we are at. We are where, okay, we've gotten a few dumps and a few pumps in, and we are getting close. I think our next slot is in this aspect. So we're getting really close to seeing the end of the bearish look and bearish scare. But I think a lot of people are really going to leave the crypto market. And like they like to call it here, every single time crypto bull run happens, and this is a trend that we've really seen, is that the big pump comes at the end. And a lot of people are not able to get this pump because the fear in the market gets to them on the last spot. A lot of people right now are in fear and panic. I personally get a bad feeling, and it's not because I believe it's going to dump or that I am scared that I might lose my money or anything like that. In fact, my charts kind of reaffirm my position. Every time I look at the charts, I get some boost in energy and adrenaline, but the numbers just scare you. Seeing all that red really scares you and really gets to you. And so a lot of people are like me and you. They look at it and they hear everything we're talking about. They hear, even if they don't hear me, they read, or let's say they just feel it, right? They feel like it's going to pump. They see all this red and they start to panic. And they're like, I'm going to lose all the money I put in. I'm going to lose this. I'm going to lose that. I need it. And so what do? They sell at a loss. They literally sell at the bare bottom, which is going to be at this point probably here around this area. Maybe I think we consolidated right now, a relatively nice consolidation, but if it goes down, which I wouldn't be shocked if it goes down a little more, I do believe though we are basically at the consolidation phase. Now we're going to see it go sideways, even if it does a little bit of a dip, but you're going to see a lot of them sell as it starts to consolidate, and this is where you lose a lot of the big hodler. Mostly retail investors, because the big store, bank firm investors don't sell and see these points that I'm talking about. And then once you feel like everybody's out, the panic is kind of going to shift away from the market, then all of a sudden you'll see, boom, it will just skyrocket. And so you're probably asking, why is that going to happen? Well, the market is set up in a way where the price goes up if the market feels fear, and if the market feels bullish, then the market goes down. And this is because all the big investors, once they see that everything is hitting the all-time high, like in this situation and like in the 2018 bull run where everything was peaking, they know that people were buying in, and there was so much talk about the crypto market, and people were buying in at highs and expecting it to go higher than its all-time high. And then what did they do? The second the big investors felt like, all right, I think the hype is starting to die, then boom, they sell. And this is because they know that as soon as the hype dies, there's going to be less money in the market. And so they were able to get in first, sell before everybody else, and cause this big crash. Now, once it crashes even up to here, it's a down effect. People just start selling, and then once it gets to, these points right here, everybody is like, it's done. The bull market is done and it's dead. And they really make you feel that. They extend it to as long as they can into this 4-year period, and then eventually, after they've done their full accumulation in these phases, bought as much as they can XRP, then they try and repeat the cycle once again by giving you little pumps and starting to get people to really talk about the crypto market and say, okay, there's hope, there's a bit of hope. Then they, of course, try and get as many pumps. So they tried to get a pump here, and they did. They got their pump, and then boom, they sold everything, causing a crash. And then guess what happened right after that? They accumulated. They bought back in. You know why? Because they understood that, listen, we can't kill the market, but what we have to do is we have to scare them. We have to make them not trust the crypto market and start feeling the fear. So that's what they did. Now as the market goes down, you know what's going to happen? I will tell you. There's going to be an accumulation phase that, like I said, stems all the way down. It's going to keep going down because they're going to keep on accumulating, and you're going to have a lot of people panic sell. And then right when they feel like, okay, you know what, the people that are left are not going to sell, boom, that's when this price skyrockets. You know why? Because that's when they buy in full. They buy a domino effect, of course. So they buy up to probably that $1.50 range. The media starts to pick it back up. They start to say crypto's alive again. You start to get everybody talking about crypto and how it's going to boom. And that is a triggering effect. Of course, it does that boom, and then boom starts to crawl like this. People start to buy in at the highs because they still believe it's going to crawl, and then guess what happens? A collapse. Because at this peak right here, who sold? The investors. The second they feel the hype is gone, or not the hype is gone, the second they feel the hype is starting to begin its slow progress, that's when they get out of the market and everybody loses because they cause a sell, and then a panic sell occurs, and everybody believes that the bear market has begun, and you're back to square one, and that cycle repeats every single time. That's the end of the video, guys. Make sure you guys go ahead and smash the like button, comment your thoughts down below, and subscribe to the channel.